Good morning, webinar participant, and welcome. Thank you so much for being here. We are happy today, especially now, because we can hold a webinar about the 2020 election. Of course, with that, the title of our webinar this time will be the situation in the city of Manado and Luwuk ahead of the election during pandemic. Let me introduce myself first. My name is Anastasya Karutabe, and I will be the host of this webinar together with my partner, Clara Popato'on. It is requested that the participant will be able to follow the rules by keeping the video on and turn off the mic so that the webinar can run well.
As we know that the regional election will be held on December 9, 2020. Even during the COVID said there were Home Affairs of Indonesia that there are several reasons for the regional election to continue, such as no one knows when the COVID pandemic will end, and there are fixed terms for regional heads. Based on the government's decision, several regions of Indonesia will carry out regional election, such as in the Luwuk and Manado cities. We welcome to our speakers this time. They are Majesty Bane from Luwuk and Sava Diandra from Manado.
Alright, now we will enter the first session. And the one who will bring our first material this time will be Miss Majesty. But before we start this session, please allow me to introduce our first speaker. Her name is Majesty Cecilia Emanuela Bane. Miss Majesty was born in Luwuk on December 1st, 1990, and Miss Majesty has also completed her undergraduate education, and she currently serves as the head of Bawaslu Banggai Regency. Would you please welcome Miss Majesty Bane?
Okay, thank you very much to Tasha, and thank you very much to everyone who trusts me to be the speaker in this webinar with the title, The Situation in the City of Manado and Luwuk Ahead of the Election During the COVID Pandemic. Before we discuss about the election in Central Sulawesi, especially in the city of Luwuk, we need to understand first what is election of regional head. Election of regional head is carried out directly by local residents who meet the requirements. Regional head elections are held together with the deputy of regional heads. The public, especially the 105 million voters in 270 regions, who will hold regional election on 9 December, but the election that will be held this year may be a little different because we have to do the election during the COVID-19 pandemic. There are concerns that the election will create a new cluster, considering that the election process, like we know, will carry out by gathering people, but a number of parties continue to encourage the implementation of election continue as it shall be with all their consideration. In Luwuk, Central Sulawesi will also soon be holding election on 9 December with 3 candidates. The 3 candidates for region and deputy region have prepared solid vision and mission to build Banggai district into a more advanced district. Regarding the situation leading to the election in Luwuk area, which will be held on December 9, actually there are still many pro and contra because lately patients that infected with COVID-19 virus in Luwuk area have increased. So this has resulted in concern that for the people in the city of Luwuk, because of course they are feel worried about gathering with people from various places in the city of Luwuk because they don't want to be exposed to this dangerous virus. But as already notified by the region at the coordination meeting on towards a safe COVID-19 regional election, the region focused on health protocol law enforcement during election. In accordance with the applicable legal basis regarding instruction of President of the Republic of Indonesia, number 6, 2020, concerning improved discipline and enforcement of health protocols in the prevention and control COVID-19. Republic of Indonesia Minister of Home Affairs letters number 440/5113/SG date 14 September 2020 regarding the implementation of health protocol law enforcement coordination meetings in this region. Banggai Region Regulation number 33 of 2020 concerning the implementation and enforcement of health protocol law as an effort to prevent and control COVID-19. Banggai Region Haji Herwin Yatin hopes that in facing the upcoming Democratic Party, we will make an agreement and commitment as expected by the central government in preventing the transmission of COVID-19, so follow up the conclusion on health problems and challenges in the 2020 regional election during the COVID-19 pandemic, implementing the Instructor President Socialization number 6 2020 and Banggai Region Regulation number 33 2020 by each party, Team Satgas COVID-19 Banggai District, General Election Commission of Indonesia, and General Election Supervisory Agency Banggai District. Not only that, the 10E and police are ready to oversee and secure every stage of the 2020 election process so that it runs safe and successful. I think that's enough for me about the situation in the city of Luwuk ahead the election that will be held on 9 December. Thank you.
So thank you for Miss Majesty as the first speaker. So now we move on to the second speaker is Miss Sava Diandra. She was born on March 2001 in Jakarta. So now she is the management of the Manado Pilkada Youth Supervisory Association. So Miss Sava, the time is yours.
Okay, thank you for having me. I think this topic is related with everybody's life now. And okay, let's start. We can see together that this year's regional elections are very different from previous years. Given the COVID pandemic that has hit the entire country to Indonesia has not made these elections to be postponed, similar to the one in the city of Luwuk, like Miss Bane has explained to us. Manado will also continue to hold regional elections on December 9. This year, we have 4 candidates for mayor and vice mayor, as well as 3 candidates for governor and vice governor. This year's Manado elections is also quite different because the candidates for the leadership of the city are mostly filled with great women. They are not only running as a representative or vice, but as a mayor and governor. Well, talking about the situation in Manado, the elections will be conducive and safe. Because there is a pandemic that makes us have to apply health protocols such as like wearing masks and not make crowding. Therefore, campaigns like the previous one are not carried out. So far, no one has campaigned, no one candidate has campaigned, such as taking to the streets or gathering masses in the field and so on. Everything is done strictly according to the COVID health protocol. This year's campaign rules have also been regulated so that any candidates who violates the campaign rules during this pandemic will be sanctioned. However, each candidate has their place or base, or some call it as rumah pemenangan, from which to talk with the citizens about their problems. And all this is done by implementing health protocols. Talking about the people of Manado. The people of Manado are not bothered by the absence of a campaign from the candidates But this also makes some people confused and do not know how and who and what the future regional leader candidates are. Even though the candidates have shown their faces through the billboard, we want to get to know their features because features is more important than just faces, right? And that is one of the role of the candidates base or their rumah pemenangan to gather people's aspiration. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for Miss Safa. Now we move on to question and answer section. We already collect some questions from participants. There are 4 questions. The first question for Miss Majesty. The question is, can you explain about the pro and contra of the 2020 regional election that you mentioned earlier? Thank you.
Okay, good question. Like I said before, election that will be held this year may be a little different because we have to carry out the election during the COVID-19 pandemic. There are concerns that the election, which will be held on 9 December, will create a new cluster considering that the election process, like we know, will carry out by gathering people, especially as we know lately patients that have infected with COVID-19 virus in Luwuk area have increased. On the other hand, some parties also argue that regional election need to be implemented so that regional governance runs optimally. This is because even though regional leaders will have had their term of office can be replaced by daily executing officers or executing tasks, they are considered not to be running optimally and may tend to cause other problems. Thank you.
Thank you for Miss Majesty. For the second question, this question for Miss Safa and Miss Majesty. The question is, what about the safety and health protocols that will be carried out during the election? Maybe Miss Safa will be the first.
Okay. Talking about the protocol, the safety, right? As we all know, the implementation of these regional elections, of course, applies the COVID health protocol. Uh, we have to apply this COVID health protocol because there is a pandemic. So, like wearing a mask, keep your distance, and washing your hands. And the important things that we as government makes advertisement on television regarding health protocols during the election. And the most important thing, when you arrive at the polling place next month, it is also hope that you do not bring your children and bring your own writing instruments. That's all.
Okay, in Luwuk area, for the situation at the election place later, the place will be prepared for vote in each area. Rukun warga and health protocol are also carried out, such as maintaining the distance so that people who come to vote in voting place are limited because they have set a time to vote. So this is not too crowded at the voting place. Washing hand and wearing mask is something that they have to do. And also the voting place will always sterilize with disinfectant. And also there are also people who will check your temperature before you vote. Thank you.
Okay, for the next question. This question for Miss Safa and Miss Majesty too. The question is, how is the enthusiasm of the society in Luwuk and Manado? Do the society also agree or disagree of the selection? Maybe Miss Majesty will be the first to answer this question.
Okay, very good question. How enthusiasm people in Luwuk? So people in Luwuk, of course, they are very enthusiastic about this regional election, but also many people still worried because of COVID-19 pandemic. Even so far has been monitored is even the community always gathered in a place like Miss Safa said before, Rumah Kemenangan to support their favorite candidates. This is sometimes make a little worried because this make the coronavirus more spread because therefore always give but we always give warnings to publics to do health to always do the health protocol when gathering to support their favorite candidate. Thank you.
Okay, enthusiasm of the people, right? Especially in Manado. It can be said like 50-50, or some people are enthusiastic and others are not because with the reason of a pandemic. But um, because of this reason, some people confused about the figures of the candidates because there is no campaign, right? There is no campaign, there is no gathering masses in the field like the previous years. So it makes some people feelings like they are not enthusiastic with these elections. That's for me from the situation in Manado. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Miss Majesty and Miss Safa, for answering the question. Now, the last question for Miss Safa. Will there be any consequences from holding regional election during a pandemic? So, Miss Safa is pleased to answer the question.
Okay, well, talking about the consequences, we as a government especially are aware of the health consequences, of course, when this regional election must be carried out. But we have also tried the best to make this year's election carried out by implementing the correct COVID health protocol. Remember, correct COVID health protocols, such as wearing your mask and then washing your hands and then keeps your distance. We also remind candidates, the more important is in the candidates, right? Candidates. We also remind the candidates to always implement health protocols so as not to carry out campaigns that can create crowds. I think that's enough.
Okay, thank you so much for Miss Majesty and Miss Safa for answering the question and for sharing the information to us. So, from the material and answers from the speaker, we know that the 2020 regional elections will still be carried out with safety and health protocol. And those of us who will attend the election is hope to stay healthy and follow the existing protocols and rules.
So that's all about our webinar about the election during the COVID-19 pandemic in Luwuk and Manado cities. Thank you for the participants who took the time to attend this webinar. And also thank you for our two speakers, Miss Majesty and Miss Alpha. We hope this webinar can provide the new information about the election of this year. Stay healthy and don't forget to do health protocols. Thank you.